Hello boys and girls, so this week in week 2 we are going to learn about pharaohs and ancient Egyptian tombs. So the first tombs that we'd all know about are the pyramids. The pyramids were the tombs that were built for pharaohs or the kings. The ancient Egyptians believed that if a person was mummified that they would live forever, so they built these tombs to keep their bodies. Inside the pyramids there are lots of hieroglyphics which tell the story of the pharaoh that was buried there. These would be used to tell the achievements and adventures of the pharaoh. These hieroglyphics are how and why we know so much about ancient Egypt and the people who ruled it. Then we have the afterlife. So the Egyptians believed that after you died, you would go into a new life. They also believed that when you did this, you would take all your items that you owned with you. This meant that Egyptian families would put things into the grave of their loved one that they thought they would need. So the tomb itself. The inside of an Egyptian tomb had lots of different chambers. The body of the pharaoh was placed in a sarcophagus, which is a large stone coffin. The sarcophagus was then surrounded by other chambers filled with items that they thought they would need in the afterlife, mostly decorative items in gold. Tutankhamun was known as the Boy King. He was the youngest pharaoh to rule over ancient Egypt, and the discovery of his tomb is the most significant archaeological discoveries in the modern era. Tutankhamun, there's lots of different ways to pronounce his name, became the pharaoh at the age of 9 and ruled at the time of the Egyptian empire was at its strongest. He ruled for 9 years until his death at about the age of 18. We are still not sure how he died, but some say it was from an accident and others say it was from a disease. We do know, however, that his death was a surprise and he was buried in a tomb not fit for a king and had been built very fast. How was his tomb found? The tomb was found by a group of researchers led by Howard Carter. The reason he is one of the most famous and talked about pharaohs is because his tomb was only found in 1922. Which means that all his treasures and the body inside the sarcophagus have been left in very good condition. They found over 3,000 treasures, mostly covered in gold, that were put in for Tutankhamun to take with him into the afterlife. The decoration of his particular tomb. So the burial chamber with the body is the only room in the tomb which is very unusual for the resting place for a king. It is the only one decorated. Normally, all the walls would be carved or painted, which is how we know that Tutankhamun died very suddenly. Many historians also believe that the tomb itself was not made for him in the first place, and the burial chamber and decorations were added later. So boys and girls, your task this week is to answer the questions below in the little quiz underneath in the form. And then the second task is to complete your project on the mummification of the tomato from last week. We are really excited to see your results on how your tomato survived the mummification process, and good luck in the quiz below.